Welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking WWE 2K20, and we're talking the Wild Card Rule. Now the Wild Card Rule was introduced this past Monday by Vince McMahon, and it allows 3 superstars from Smackdown Live to come across to Monday Night Raw and vice versa. And this option is going to work every single week going forward as far as I'm aware. And although I'm not keen on it on WWE TV, it did give me some ideas of how it could work in universe mode for WWE 2K20. So we're going to talk about that in today's video, but before we get into it, I want to make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all my WWE games content. Now before we step into today's video, I just want to address a few comments which were on my previous video when it comes to the topic of WWE 2K20. These videos are discussion videos. I want to talk about things that excite me, things that I want to see in the future of WWE games. I also want to talk about other topics that are out there about WWE 2K20, either because I think they're funny, they're interesting, or because I want to get your views and opinions on them. However, that is simply all these are. You know, I work on a WWE 2K universe mode that is very labor intensive. I take a lot of time, me and my brother, we plan, we script out. Those shows are over, 40 minutes long each episode. So this is much light-hearted content, and that's all it should be taken as. I'm not trying to clickbait you into clicking. Of course, I'm going to have an interesting thumbnail. Who doesn't? It's YouTube. But the idea of these videos is to kick back, discuss, and talk. Nothing more, nothing less. That's why some of the videos go 20 minutes, some of the videos go 10 minutes, some of the videos don't make 10 minutes. Each time, I don't set a time limit. If I was doing that, I said this earlier today, I would just click it for 10:02. Of course, that's what you do if you're aiming to get over that 10-minute mark, but I don't. Sometimes I talk for 25 minutes. Why? Because I want to talk about it. Simple as that. If you don't want to listen for 25 minutes, you don't have to. That's the beauty of YouTube. You can click away at any point. If you don't like the sound of my voice, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to subscribe. So I'm just putting this across very quickly just to address it. I won't touch on it again, but this is what these videos are about. So for the minority that get rather uptight about these videos, and it is a minority, you now know the score. So if you don't like my voice, well, it's tough luck. I mean, I speak at the speed that I speak, so that's that. And if you're not keen on these videos because you do think they're clicky, then, we've addressed that. Don't click on them. But if you are interested in these discussion topics and you want to hear my ideas and things that I'm interested in, and also things that I find fun when it comes to the topics that come up for the next installment of WWE games, we're going to have plenty to talk about over the coming months. And of course today, we're talking about the Wild Card Rule. So no more on this. We've said it, sweep it under the carpet, it won't be spoken about again. And let's continue what we want to talk about in this video, the Wild Card Rule. So I gave you a brief breakdown at the start of this video of the Wild Card Rule, and it basically means that superstars can jump from brand to brand. It's supposed to be 3, but as I mentioned, that seems to differ and, depend on how WWE are feeling. And at this point, in my opinion, WWE have completely obliterated the brand split. It doesn't really matter anymore. And I think that's much to do with WWE and these big money network deals. These networks want the top stars on their shows, on their networks, and WWE are having to appease these networks, which makes the brand split very difficult. I totally understand this, however, it makes the shows very messy. But for a WWE game and for universe mode, it could make your universe mode rather interesting. So my idea for WWE 2K20 and the wildcard rule for universe mode is that you would have your brands, so let's just say we have Raw and Smackdown, and then you'd have the option to activate the wildcard rule at certain points in time during the year of your universe. So in that calendar year, let's just say you could activate the wildcard rule 3 times. That means that in those 3 times, you would have superstars jumping from Raw to Smackdown and Smackdown to Raw. Now the way that I see the wildcard rule working in terms of look is I would imagine it would be like a roulette wheel, and you'd have all the faces of your brand, or maybe you have, I don't know, the top 10 ranking superstars of your brand listed on the wheel. You then have the option to spin the wheel, and whoever it lands on, whichever superstar it lands on, will then go to the rival brand that week. And I also thought you could have a secondary wheel, and in that secondary wheel it can have a purpose. So the purpose of that superstar going to that rival brand, for example, could be to challenge for a WWE Championship or to attack a certain superstar. And this could all be random. Maybe you could have some contribution in it, like you could select the superstar that you want the superstar going to that rival brand to attack. But I like the idea of this being random. I think it's quite a cool idea, and it would spice up your universe mode if it was getting a bit stale. So the way it would work in my head, because again, of course, this is just a brainchild of me, something I've thought about and how it could look and how it could appear in a WWE game, is the concept is indeed the wildcard rule, but it would look a bit like a Raw roulette wheel, if you remember that back in the day. You'd have that wheel of fortune, you'd spin it and you'd pick the superstar first, that would be random, then you pick the purpose of that superstar going to the brand. And because it only happens 3 times in a year, and again that could either be random or you could go into the options menu and you could activate it. So let's just say you're playing your universe and you think, not really keen on the current storylines, things aren't really working out. I tell you what, I'm going to activate the wildcard rule, and then you might get, you know, changes to your storylines that just make things so much more interesting and so much more entertaining. And maybe there could be additional options thrown in as well, where potentially if a superstar wins a championship, they might stay on that brand. So it really would, you know, change the game and change the complexion of your universe mode. And I like that in a WWE game, because I think it makes things much more interesting. I don't like it in current WWE because I think WWE have only introduced this to appease networks, but this has a playability factor about it when it comes to a game. So it's very different, and I find it quite funny that I'm looking forward to something like this if it was put in a WWE game in universe mode. But I absolutely hated hearing about this when I found out it had happened on Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live, because I'd seen the tweets from Roman Reigns saying that he was going to appear on Raw, and I was like, God damn it, you got drafted to SmackDown. WWE should play the storyline that they're enforcing you to stay on your brand, because it does make a mockery of the brand split. But in all honesty, it's not about the brand split anymore. WWE are looking at the bigger picture, which is about the networks. I'm not saying that's right. I think that's wrong. I think WWE are reacting because they've got to have their big stars on these shows to make those networks happy because of the money that's involved with these networks. But for me, I'd prefer superstars being branded, and then, you know, consistent storylines around those superstars. I think that's the way to get the ratings up. Go for that long play as opposed to these quick wins, because they're not really winning. Check out the ratings. But in terms of a video game, These are the sort of options that can make things rather cool. These were the unpredictability factors that you get in the old WWE video games, the Smackdown versus Raw. You know, the option of things happening, and you have, you know, a little bit of control because you could activate the wildcard rule, but you don't have full control because if you spin that wheel, let's just say for example you have your top 10 ranked superstars on that wheel and it just so happens to land on a superstar which you didn't actually want it to land on. Then he goes to the rival brand, he makes an impact there. At first you're thinking, oh god no, he's involved in a heavy storyline, I didn't want him to go there. But he ends up going there and something else rather awesome comes out of it. It would be the luck of the draw, the wheel of fortune. I actually like it. The more I think about it, the more invested I am in this idea, and I think visually it could look amazing as well if WWE games put some time into it. And I go back to championing Universe mode this year for the mode that 2K put their time and effort in, because of course we've talked about this on the channel before via the WWE 2K feedback project and the forum. We all know that that was the most commented on, replied to part of the forum. Universe mode is where people want the improvement, it's where you want the improvement, and these sort of cool options would be excellent to be factored in to make Universe mode much more invested and much more entertaining. So what do you think? I want to get your views and opinions on this in the comment section. What do you think about the actual wildcard rule that was introduced by Vince McMahon? Do you agree with me that it shouldn't have been introduced? I just think it's a mockery of the brand split, and also the fact that it has, you know, been imposed as a wildcard rule, which would imply there are rules around it. The most important one was that only 3 superstars could go from brand to brand each week, and WWE have already broken that rule. Yeah. So what do you think about that? What do you think about it being introduced to a WWE video game, which I think it suits much better? I think it gives some entertainment value and some randomized options, which would be quite exciting. What do you think about that? I want to hear from you guys, and can you add to this wild card rule concept? I'd love to hear what you think. Maybe the roulette wheel isn't the best look for it, but what design would you go for? How would you like it to work? You know, I want to hear your concept ideas, your opinions, and I might just pick up this topic again in a future WWE 2K video and talk about what you guys suggested, because I'm sure you've got some amazing and awesome ideas. So get involved, and I'm just looking at the clock. I'm not really. You know, the way I actually record these videos is I record lots of little snippets of audio. It's not one chunk of audio. So by the time I've actually got all my audio together and I'm done talking, I'm done running my mouth, I just have a ton of audio that I snip together, and you know, I only snip out the mistakes. Bar that, I just kind of leave it as raw as I possibly can, and then that makes up the video. So that's why it can be 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 10 minutes. You know, if I haven't got much to talk about, it's going to be 5 minutes or less, but in reality I usually have quite a bit to talk about because I just enjoy talking about these concepts and talking about these subjects. But there you go, I digress, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it again, and I'm not anymore. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you guys. I really want to get your opinions. If you think the wildcard rule can work in a WWE video game, I think it would be perfect for Universe mode. It could be introduced into other elements as well. That roulette wheel could work for match types and things like that. But I'm just scratching the surface here. I'm sure you guys will add to it in the comments. Looking forward to hearing from you. And for those of you that have supported and do enjoy these videos, I thank you very much. I love talking to you guys about this stuff because it is exciting, and hopefully we will get some of this delivered in the next installment of the WWE Games franchise. So for now, all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.